I'm Elliot Page. I am the Director of Air Service Development at Hartsfield-Jackson, Atlanta International Airport, the world's busiest and most efficient passenger airport. Um, and my role as Air Service Development is think of Air Service Development as business development. We work with a variety of airlines, both on the passenger and cargo side, to encourage airlines to fly to Atlanta, to connect us to more cities internationally. We know that there's a positive correlation between direct routes to different cities and investment. So one of the things that we realize is that as an airport, if we can create more direct flights between us and various other countries and other major cities, then we're also creating opportunities for growth, for investment, for business, and also for trade, in particular, to boost our cargo trade. So Atlanta Airport, as you know, as I said, is the world's busiest airport. In 2019, we broke our own record. We had over 110 million passengers passing through the airport. On average, that's an average per day of around 270,000 passengers. And during peak times, during Thanksgiving, Christmas, we've seen peaks as much as 320,000 passengers in one day. That's a lot of people to move. And, and it's, as I say, it's a big airport. We have 7 runways. We have 7 concourses, 5 runways. We have plans to build a 6th runway. We've delayed that a bit because, we need to optimize the use of our present 5 runways. We're undergoing a capital improvement program, which is modernizing the airport. At first, it was a bill of $6 billion. That bill has been going up as we've started to construct. That's what happens typically in these things. But it involves, building a new hotel next to the airport, adding mixed-use facilities next to the airport so that we can rent and acquire revenue through other sources. It involves modernizing a lot of the concourses, so expanding them, moving away a lot of the glass, the walls, and building glass, putting up glass so that the concourse is a lot brighter and more inviting to the passengers. Doing things like what we call an end-around runway, where we connect the runways so that airplanes can taxi without crossing runways. To reduce the possibilities of incursions, and cargo. A lot of development, over $200 million spent on cargo alone to develop new facilities. Atlanta Airport in 2019, we had about 680,000 metric tons of cargo. The year before, we had over 700,000 metric tons of cargo. So last year, we saw the impact of trade war between the US and China impact us a lot. Georgia's second largest trading partner is China for both imports and exports. So that had an impact on our trade. But last year we saw that, we didn't do too badly despite that. Of course, 2020 is a ridiculous year for all of us. So we expect that 2020 will probably see maybe a 30% decrease in cargo volumes across the world. Perhaps not so deep in Atlanta because we still do see a lot of cargo coming in terms of PPEs, personal protection equipment, and supplies that are dealing with the fight against COVID-19. But we expect quite a substantial decline in cargo. But the airport serves not just, this airport serves the community. Atlanta is in the middle of a region that is filled with a variety of sectors. So there are a lot of pharmaceuticals and biotech companies. There's a lot of manufacturing, both in aerospace and automotive. A lot of production that depends on air cargo to move both supplies, input, and also the finished products. So you come to our airport some days and you will see Mercedes-Benz and Porsches, and you wouldn't believe that people would ship cars via a plane, but they do. Sometimes you see horses, sometimes you see baby chicks. Sometimes you see airplane engines and a variety of medical equipments because we have the CDC here. And so we service the CDC as well. And, the airport is very important for servicing the logistics and supply hub of the region. So it is a tremendous economic impact to the region. It's a high employer. The airport employs around 63,000 people. And one of the areas that's been growing tremendously has been cargo. So we've seen growth in cargo, not only on the side of regular cargo, but we've also seen growth in terms of e-commerce. Today, if you look at what's happening with COVID-19, most people are getting more accustomed to ordering things online. So e-commerce has seen sort of a 20% boost in the last 3 months, far higher than we've had in the last 3 years. So we started off in September with 1 flight per day of Amazon Air. I think that's what they call themselves now, Amazon Air. And now we have 3 flights per day. The flights were on average 50% full, and recently, because a lot of people have been staying at home, ordering online, we've seen load factors as high as 100% now. So we expect that this will continue to increase as more and more people order online and get accustomed to doing so. B2B business has been typically very big. That's a $1 trillion business, and it's 3 times larger than B2C logistics, because a lot of factories, a lot of companies depend on e-commerce to order small parts for their factory and equipment. So Atlanta will continue to play a vital role in moving cargo throughout the region. We're lucky in that where we're located, we're kind of in the center of all this production. We're surrounded by interstate highways such as I-85, I-75, 285, 675. All these highways connect us to all parts of this region. So road connection, great air connection, connected to over 170 cities domestically and over 70 plus cities internationally. We can get anything to anywhere in the US within 24 hours and anywhere across the world within 72 hours. So that's how we market ourselves. By road, we can get to anywhere within 2 days. So that's why we're one of the preferred hubs. We've seen the result of being a preferred hub is that we've seen a tremendous increase in the number of air freight, all freighter companies that have started service in Atlanta. The challenge with that is that we can't build warehouses fast enough. And so we've done 2 things. One is that because of our, success also breeds problems. We've had a good amount of cargo. That a lot of cargo has brought truck congestion on the land side. So at one point, 5 years ago, we had our land side littered with trucks. The roadways blocked with trucks, where truckers were receiving tickets and they were blocking the doorways to the warehouses, and sometimes emergency vehicles couldn't get in. So we built a truck staging area, and we hired a company to develop a software that would allocate trucks to dock doors according to availability. So trucks enter that truck staging area, they wait for a while and until they get a signal on their cell phone that tells them where to go. So we've enhanced that even further by implementing something called a cargo community system. Now, the cargo community system, think of it as when you order something online from Amazon, for instance, and you go online and you keep checking to see where your product is. And Amazon can tell you every step of where your product is, when it's left the warehouse, when it's on the road, and when it's on the way to your home. This system does exactly that for all stakeholders. So whereas Amazon or DHL or FedEx has what we call a closed loop system, where they can determine exactly where their cargo is, we've created a platform where companies, different companies that are not part of a closed loop system, can speak to each other. So we've created a closed loop system for this community. So today, all our truckers, our freight forwarders, the ground handlers, the airlines can speak to each other about a specific cargo and have full transparency. That's great for the airline, it's great for the shippers, for the consignee. Imagine a typical example is that truckers tell me that they would come to the airport before the cargo community system was implemented. They would come to the airport not knowing whether the cargo had arrived or not, or not knowing whether all of the cargo had arrived. Maybe 4 out of 20 pieces have arrived. So they come to the airport and maybe they pick up cargo, maybe not. Maybe they leave empty, maybe they don't. The challenge with that is that you're spending money on labor, on fuel, on the time that that truck takes to go to the airport, pick up cargo, or maybe not pick up anything. And that resource could be someplace else being active. Today, they can determine that exactly what amount of cargo has arrived. Has it arrived damaged? Have all the pieces there? And they can determine whether or not they're going to pick up that cargo. In fact, the system can tell them, because it's supported by artificial intelligence on the Microsoft Azure. So it can tell them that you have 4 shipments ready for pickup. One is ready at 1 o'clock, the other one will be ready at 2, and another will be ready at 3. And they can tell you what dock door to go to, at what time to pick it up, so that you can do 1, 2, 3 and be totally efficient, and you leave with a truck that's full or almost full. That's efficient use of resources. So we're on a campaign now to get more people aware of the cargo community system. It's new, and that's the challenge. It's new. We're the first airport in the Americas to implement a cargo community system. In Asia, this is very typical, and in Europe, they have cargo community systems that they've had for maybe 10 years now. But a lot of other airports in the US have now caught on, Dallas, Houston, Miami, to this idea, and are now launching their own cargo community system. Another thing that we did was to build a new cargo warehouse. So that cargo warehouse is about 100,000 square feet. We put out an RFP to try and get the best operator for the warehouse, and today we have worldwide flight services, WFS, that have gotten that contract. So they're in the process of building out the inside, building their offices, and their hope is to have the building open and operational before the end of the year. It's an on-airport facility, but it's one that we really needed, because when we have gotten to a point where we're full. We have so much cargo, so much business coming in that we literally cannot handle more. And with new carriers like Amazon Air, that's really putting a lot of pressure and growing tremendously, as I mentioned earlier, from 1 flight per day to 3 flights per day, with now 100% load capacity. We need more space, more warehouse capacity, and more ground handlers to handle the operations. So that's one. The other thing, and I think one of my favorite projects, is one that's, because it's still a dream, and it's a project I like to call, and I've been calling, the Modern Air Cargo Terminal. The airport has some green space at the southern part of the airport, in an area close to what we call Sullivan Road. And we want to build with the private sector, partner with the private sector to build a state-of-the-art facility that has robotics, that has material handling system, that has sensors, that has a cargo community system, that has all the latest technology, pulling from the best from all over the world and putting it in Atlanta. And we recognize that one of the challenges we recognize that when we build our cargo building, it's not the best building. It's a block. It's a big block. And so we need to pull in the private sector for them to work with us to build this facility, and so that the facility itself can market itself. It will be something that once you tell the world you have this facility, you can pass cargo through the warehouse in less than 30 minutes, everyone will want to be in that facility. And if you have the material handling system and it's super efficient, and you're not so dependent on labor supply, because labor supply is a challenge for us. It's hard to get people qualified to work on an airport to get bonded, because they have to be pass all kinds of security check. They have to be FBI fingerprinted and all of that to be able to work on the airport, to make sure that they're safe, they're not terrorists or anything of the sort. And to get that and then pay them very little wage is very difficult to keep people like that. But if you have more machinery doing some of that work, doing the more of the repetitive work, then it changes the landscape. It makes us a lot more efficient. Incidentally, having companies like Amazon on our airport forces us to be more efficient. So we've seen ground handlers implement systems that can move cargo a lot easier and faster because of Amazon, because Amazon is pushing and they want more efficiency. Because consumers want more efficiency. Consumers, when you order your goods online, you want it in a day or less. So for that to work, for that sort of efficiency to happen, airports have to be faster, because the planes are moving fast anyway in the air. So the bottleneck always for cargo is on the airport, is on that hub across the world. So Atlanta Airport is, we're doing quite a lot to improve the efficiency of cargo. We always like to say that we want cargo to move at the speed of baggage. And if you understand that if you travel a lot, when you when you come off an aircraft, you disembark and you go to the conveyor belt, your bag's there within, 20 minutes or less. If you fly Delta and you fly into Atlanta, your bag always gets there before you. We want cargo to move at that speed. If you can get cargo to move at that speed, then we have super efficiency. Then we'll be great for e-commerce. Then we'll be great for all types of cargo. And that's our aim. That's my dream.